So think about revenue per recipient in e-commerce this way. Let's say you have a lemonade stand and you send out 10 invitations to your friend to come taste your lemonade and eventually buy it as well, right? At the end of the day, you made from those lemonades $50. And now you want to find out how successful was your sale. So what would you do is you would take the total revenue generated, so $50, and you would divide it by the amount of invitations sent. So that makes $5 per invitation or per friend. That's like RPR. RPR shows you the average revenue generated by the total amount of emails or messages sent to your audience and the ones that you invited to your online shop. The formula to find out your revenue per recipient in Klaviyo or in general is the following. You take the total amount of revenue your email, your campaign, or your flow has generated, and you divide it by the total amount of deliveries. One thing to know is that failed deliveries, in Klaviyo at least, they don't account to the total amount of deliveries. The revenue per recipient is important to assess your campaign success because it shows you how successful it was your campaign or your flow. Think about that. Let's say you run a 10% campaign discount on your audience and you want to find out how successful it was and if you hit the mark when it comes to profit margins. If the revenue per recipient was lower than your profit margins, that means that you need to find another incentive or another promotion to send out to your recipients. It also makes sense to look at revenue per recipient when it comes to finding out what campaigns hit the mark and what not. Each campaign type will have a different revenue per recipient. So you need to be mindful when looking at that metric. Because, for example, if you send out an educational campaign where you don't want your people to buy your product, but you want to drive down in the funnel and teach them about how to use the product, that type of campaign will have a lower revenue per recipient. So make sure that when you look at the revenue per recipient, you also look at what campaign you sent, what was the goal for it, and assess it against your business goals. Revenue per recipient can be low for some campaigns due to various and many reasons. Here are a few of them. One of them, you didn't clean your list. You send out your campaign to unengaged subscribers, to people who haven't opened or engaged at all with your brand or with your emails in months. They haven't made the purchase. So that's one of the main reasons. The second one can be an offer that wasn't attractive enough. Let's say you sent out a 10% discount, but 1 month ago, you sent out a promotion with 25% off. Obviously, your subscribers won't purchase again because the difference in the offer is quite big, therefore not attractive enough. The third thing might be deliverability. A lot of your emails might not hit the inbox. Your people won't actually see the emails, therefore less eyeballs on your emails, therefore lower revenue per recipient. The fourth reason is the goal of your campaign. You might send a promotion that would have a high revenue per recipient, but if you send out an educational campaign, that one is most likely going to have a low revenue per recipient because the goal of it is to educate your subscribers and make sure that they are aware of your product, how to use it, they know about your brand, but not necessarily to buy from that particular email. So the first way to increase your revenue per recipient, and the most important one, in my opinion, is to make sure that you have a clean list. Make sure that you send out your campaigns to your most engaged segments. Make sure that you use the appropriate segmentation and you don't send out your campaigns to subscribers that haven't interacted with your brand, haven't interacted with your emails, that are most likely not going to open your emails or make a purchase eventually. The next thing that is important when it comes to increasing revenue per recipient is to make sure that you follow the best practice when it comes to email designs and email copywriting. Make sure that your copywriting is concise, your CTAs urge people to take action, and that it's easy to follow and the appropriate information that subscribers need to find in order to make them interested in your product. The fourth way to increase your revenue per recipient is to find out what campaigns work the best. Use your Klaviyo dashboard or whatever CRM you use and do an analysis on the previous campaigns you sent. Look for high revenue per recipient campaigns and try to analyze what worked there and try to replicate it in a different way to make sure that you don't repeat yourself. The last thing on how to increase your revenue per recipient is to make sure that your incentives are working well for your business and they don't do harm. For example, if 10% off will yield low profit margins, it doesn't make sense to offer it again. And you might want to use a bundle or a different type of offer that can actually increase your profitability. So, in my opinion, revenue per recipient is not necessarily the most important metric to track when it comes to email marketing. Why? Because revenue per recipient doesn't necessarily show you how profitable you are or how successful your campaigns are. Why? Because you might have a mix of campaigns. Some of them might be promotions, some of them might be announcements, but not all of them, not all of their goals is to make sales or to make money for your business. Therefore, it's going to always be a mix of high revenue per recipient campaigns with low revenue recipient campaign. So therefore, what are those metrics that you need to take a look at and make sure that you follow them? The first one, we have deliverability. More eyeballs on your messages, the more people will see your emails, and the more chances of your email actually making money. This is very simple. Some people think that Klaviyo is just a plug and play and your deliverability is assured. But you actually need to make some technical changes. Make sure that you hit Magnet Monster in DM and we can send you the technical aspects. Second metric is list growth. More scale to your program. You can't scale your email or SMS program unless you continuously acquire new customers. This is why the whole acquisition versus retention argument is absolute nonsense. Acquisition and retention are inextricably linked. You cannot retain a customer before you acquire them. So why this metric is important? Because the more people you have on your list, the more people you can actually send emails to, therefore increasing the chances of generating more revenue with your emails, with your regular campaigns, or throughout your automated flows. The last metric that you should be paying attention to is clicks. More revenue for your brand. The more traffic you send back to your website, the more conversions you'll drive. So if you go into Google Analytics for any e-commerce store, you'll normally find 9 from 10 traffic from email drives more conversions at a higher AOV than other channels such as paid social, for example. Why is this? Quite simply because your subscribers are already aware of your brand. They are familiar with your value proposition and more likely to convert if they browse your website. Therefore, the goal should be to increase your unique clicks throughout your campaign. Make sure that you follow good practices when it comes to email design. Make sure that your message is authentic and your copywriting is on point.